Hi everybody, Links, Mr. Bronze Connoisseur here, and today I want to bring you an educational video about space and corners. And the most important thing we want to talk about today is the letter L. Now, of course, the letter L would normally stand for loss, but in this case, not understanding the letter L is indeed what will give you losses, and we don't want that. So, we're going to talk about the letter L and about space, and most of the information that gets covered in this video comes from an educational video by A10. I will link it down in the description. Make sure to check it out. His video is very good, but also very dense. So one particular aspect of his video that I want to focus on is the shape L, the corner shape, because it is so important. And with me wanting to go into tank queue now, I need to understand space, and I need to understand corners. I need to understand how to defend and how to take space as a tank. And this game, which we did win, happens to be a very extreme example of good use of corners and good use of space. So we're going to be playing this clip here, and we want to be paying attention to this corner here, because what we want to do is discuss the letter L. So according to A10, and he's very, very right here, the letter L refers to a corner, and a corner always has two sides, a long side and a short side. You want to find yourself on the short side, because this allows you to reposition yourself much more quickly and much more safely, because being in open space is dangerous. Now, to apply the letter L, we need to talk about what space is. Now, space really is just anywhere you can stand or be in physically. But how do we define what is safe space, what isn't? Well, really it depends on where your team is. Anything that is behind your team, preferably the tank if possible, is your safe space. That is your team's space. Anything behind the enemy is their space. Invading their space or them invading your space puts them at danger, but it may also put your safe space at risk. So we want to make sure that we understand where space is safest. And the best way to understand where space is safest is where you are not in range of being hit by bullets. And the best way to do that is to be behind stuff. As you can see, from start to finish here, the distance that the enemy wants to take, there's lots of stuff in the way that they can hide behind. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that the distance they have to walk is as long as possible, while the distance we have to walk if we have to move is as short as possible. And I think you will see that our tank here is very good at controlling this corner, and it basically allows us to use the principle of the L shape here. So there are two L shapes here we want to be aware of, and they revolve around this corner and the corner of this building here. Those are the two most important corners to worry about in this game. And some variety of these corners here are very important, because this is a very short distance to defend, and we need to use the buildings to cover ourselves. So we're going to assume that our space is basically from here onwards. The enemy space is over here. This is all neutral space that will be fought over. As you can see, I'm on the high ground, which makes it a bit more difficult for them. But what we want to be looking at is that this essentially is our space, this is their space. The tank has decided this shield put here means this is their space, and Moira will essentially have to move out if she wants to live. If she gets a pick, that's awesome. If she dies, that's a problem, because it will take ages for her to come back, probably some 20 seconds, and they only need about 10. So Moira comes back, and again we start now focusing on this corner and making sure that this path here is the longest path they have to walk, so we can shoot at them. And very important is that between these two buildings here is the only mandatory choke, meaning that where we want to defend needs to be behind but close to this mandatory choke, because the enemy will always have to come through here. There is no other way. There's ways around inside the building, above and below, but you still have to get through this hole here. So we need to defend close by, and this corner is essentially our short L and their long L distance, and we will basically be controlling this, and the enemy wants to contest this corner, and our tank and our team are doing a really good job here at just basically hovering around this corner, making sure that we stay at in a position of advantage here. Now, of course, the idea here that tank is trying here is the right idea. They want to move us out of this corner. The tank had to move off, back off, because they couldn't take the corner, and the high ground here was contested. We will find out who wins and who loses here, but if we manage to keep it, we put ourselves in a much better position. If they take it here, this could be potentially good for them, because that means we are one man down for at least 20 seconds, and they may finally be able to push beyond this corner. This unfortunately isn't what happens, and we move beyond the corner to try and take advantage of the fact that they were already a man down. The tank does continue to put the offense on us that we cannot push past this barrier of his. Now our Moira is of course doing something dangerous, and I am over here getting a health pack. I will get healed in a moment, but we are essentially at somewhat equal footing considering they're two men down, and we have to regroup. We're not going to talk about tempo or essentially whether or not they're grouping up effectively, what they could be doing better. We're just going to kind of look at the importance of fighting around this corner, and we are now one person down, and the contest for this corner has now been taken both by high and low ground, and we are going to need to back off as soon as possible. As you can tell, all our team has backed off from this corner down to this corner, and now we do need some extra time to reposition, and they need to do the same. But as you can tell, we have now very easily and reasonably effort-free, we've moved our corner from one anchor to the other, and now the team fight has been split up and is no longer super equal. Now, they've done a good job at forcing us to give space to them. Unfortunately, they pushed beyond their means in terms of resources, and we basically get to reset. We get to regroup and stick around this corner again, because again, this is the corner we want to be defending if we can, and essentially now nothing has really happened. No space has been exchanged in the long term, and we've not given any ticks here. So again, we need to group around this corner. Our tank here is doing a wonderful job at making sure that this corner is contested. Unfortunately, since we've also had to back off from the high ground, or this high ground, it has allowed for flanking to happen, which is good for the enemy team. They want to be pushing us back so that they have more space to work with. Unfortunately, the Moira already saw this happening, and with her now out of the picture, and them almost another person down, yeah, their push is essentially kind of done, and we can take this corner forward again and move back to our original position, which is this other corner here. Again, long, short, long. This is such an important double L corner. We have to respect this, and of course our Orisa is now was pushing the advantage, and now we have to back off and regroup around this corner, and we could, sorry about that, we can just reset, repeat, and it is going to be on them now to continuously put the pressure on us to back off from this corner. And they are doing a decent job at it. They're again trying to split up our group, trying to flank, and while they definitely did manage to split us up at first, our tank remained very much in control of this corner, and their push ended up not working. Now, we do still have a Junkrat in the back, and this could be potentially problematic, but they're not currently doing anything to contest this space. They do get one kill here, which is problematic for us. I'm not sure that they should have done what happens here now. Unfortunately, it does not contest the space. It does not contest this corner, and so the only option now is for both of our teams to reset, regroup, and basically try and push that last 30 seconds. Now, of course, at this point, they really only have one push left, and really what they should be doing is indeed trying to push us back so that the fight happens on the point, and preferably while we are as unprepared as possible. It is unfortunate that they lost the player here, because they would have been able to be a 5-man group once the tank regrouped, which is what they ideally would have needed if they would have wanted to push this corner effectively one last time. But as you can see, our tank was perfectly in control of both of these corners for most of the game, and it kept us safe. Now I like this. The tank has decided that he wants to take the fight here, and it has allowed them to basically split our attention across two fronts, and the tank's ult here is very powerful because it really puts pressure on us not to stay in this area we need to defend. But unfortunately, the rest of the team just wasn't in the location at the time. But the idea was very much correct. Trying to make us give up this corner by forcing us to fall back was definitely a smart move, and it is definitely, applying some aspect of the corner rule. Unfortunately, if we still contest this corner, they're still on the long end of the L. Unfortunately for us, if we decided to contest from this corner, if they moved in behind us, we would be giving up our objective. So this is where we essentially have to make a choice. But yeah, we managed to fight them off on both fronts, and the largest part of that is our tank having such a good grasp of that corner, moving back when necessary, and the rest of the team just kind of having the space to do what we needed to do. And of course, we're going to want to look at the defense here. They're going to be playing here. I'm also going to show you this bit because I love this bit. I never realized until recording this that this little thing is animated. It's kind of beautiful. I have no idea why somebody thought to add this, but whoever you are, thank you. You made my day when I got to see this little thing basically move and fidget around. Animator who thought of this, thank you. That's made this transition a bit easier. There we go. Well, we're going to see the same thing. Ideally, the enemy team that is now currently coming back from spawn is going to want to defend around this corner again as well. Now, this is a much more dire situation for them because their steadfastness in these two corners will determine how hard it is for us to reach the one tick we need. So it really is going to be about how they control this choke and how difficult they make our lives. Now, high ground or low ground, there's arguments for both. Obviously, high ground is great, but if you're not all together, it doesn't matter if you're on high ground or low ground. As long as you're together, you're stronger than separate, even if high ground is theoretically and more than likely practically better too. But again, we want to see how they control this corner here. Well, control the choke, preferably through the corner. And as you can tell, they too are basically trying to put pressure on the corner. I'm not sure that this was a good idea to back off this way, but our tank knows that this corner is important to contest, and they did immediately throw themselves onto controlling this corner where possible. And now they're trying to build space for us. And what is unfortunate for them now is the danger of opening up space is that nobody's noticed that our Moira has gone the long way around, which has been facilitated by our tank pushing space on the corner here. And yeah, their tank is definitely encroaching on our ability to push forward. But of course, the fight for the corner is still ongoing, so no space is really determined at this point. It really will depend on the turn of the fight. But unfortunately, despite the fact that this was very good on their part for having controlled the corner, and had this happened to be their first round on defense, they would have been fine. But now our Moira has been able to take almost the entire first tick, which unfortunately is the only thing they need. But their control of the corner was still very good. Arguably, our tank did it better, but their understanding of using this particular corner and putting yourself safely on the shorter end of this L definitely shows that both sides had some understanding of it, and I too am very happy that I found a game which I could show it, because I'm going to need this going forward into my tank games, trying to contest space and understand how to be a better tank. Now, hopefully, I've also helped anybody else who's watching this video understand space and corners. Definitely check the A10 video in the description, and wish me luck on my tank queues. I'm gonna wish everybody the best of luck on the ladder. I wish you all a really good day, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye!